So I've had a few designers reach out to me and ask me if I can try replicating Apple's liquid glass effect into Figma. And I've been playing around with it a little bit, and I found a really nice way to do it. So normally when I'm designing websites and interfaces, I normally use a plugin like Made in Figma because it's got these handy components and then product flows. But because we are replicating it in just a button, we don't really need something like this. To start with the button, I'm going to create a text layer first. Let's call this liquid glass in Figma. And then I'll set this in auto layout. In case you guys are new to auto layout, you can either do a Shift and A on your keyboard, or you can put the text inside a frame and then click on the button right here. So in auto layout, I'm going to set the horizontal and vertical padding. Let's set this to 20. Yeah, I think 20 is good enough. And just so that we can actually see how big the button is, I'll add a stroke to it as well. And let's round off the corners. All right, so now that's what the button looks like. Okay, next we're gonna have to create a rectangle. And I need to get the rectangle inside the button. Before I do that, I'm going to change the color of the rectangle to white. And you would notice the moment I move it inside the button kind of expands. It's because the frame is set to hug whatever elements are kind of inside it. So it's important to select the rectangle and then set the position to absolute. So once I do this, the button goes back to its original size. I'm going to reduce the opacity of the rectangle just so that I can see where I'm placing it, because I want it to be in the center of the button. There you go, that looks good. And then inside the frame, I'm going to move it above the text layer. And I'm going to set the opacity of the rectangle to 1. Now, you won't be able to see the rectangle, but you'll be able to see the effects that I actually add to it. So with the rectangle selected, the first thing I'm going to do is add a background blur, and I'm going to set the blur to 6. So this gives the button a glassy effect, as you can see. The next thing I want to do is set a texture for the rectangle. I'm going to move this layer below the background blur, change this to texture, and then set the size to around, let's say, 85, and the radius to 40. The moment I do this, you notice all the elements behind the rectangle, so the image kind of has now that texture effect, but I want that effect to only be within the constraints of the button. So to do that, I would select the frame for the button and then clip content, so it kind of restricts it to just the button. And then whenever I move this, you would see that little bit of effect. So it's already got some nice effects now. All right, the next thing we want to do is add the liquid glass effect to the button itself. We don't need the stroke around the button anymore, so we can delete this. And with the frame for the button selected, let's add a glassy stroke to it. So you would start off by adding an inner shadow, set X to 1, or we could actually set X to 2, Y to 2, leave blur at 4, change the color to white, and set the opacity, let's see, 40, no, let's make it 60. So now it's got a nice glassy effect on the edges, and we want to do the same thing around the other edge too. So what we would do is we would add another inner shadow. This time you set X to -2, Y to -2, set the blur at 4, change the color to white, and set the opacity to 60, so it's evened out. And you can see now it's got a really nice glassy effect on the edges. And to complete the liquid glass effect, what you're going to have to do is blend the rectangle into the button. So with the rectangle selected, click on the blend icon right here and then select plus lighter. And now you can play around with the opacity so you can see what looks really nice. So you notice as the opacity, as I increase it, the color kind of changes. I've tried a few. For me, 15 is the sweet spot, so I'm going to set this to 15. And that looks really good. And I can move the button around to see that effect on the background too. So that is my take on the liquid glass effect inside Figma. Let me know what you guys think, and if you all want me to do tutorials on anything else. Thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed it.